Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Laugh Riot podcast. My name's Matt.
And I'm Ben. Let's just introduce the first segment of the show, which is called Reading the Headlines, where we go to the top posts from this week on Reddit. We talk about them, and that's it. That's how it works. And the first headline is, not surprised, this is the top post from this week. Stan Lee has passed away at 95 years old. Of course, if you don't know, Stan Lee is a co-creator of Marvel Comics. He's made so many iconic characters throughout the decades, which have inspired generations, really, of not just comic readers, but now also moviegoers in the very popular Marvel franchises. Yeah, Matt, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, big loss to many. As someone who, wasn't, but I've said previously on the podcast, I'm not a big Marvel fan, so I don't think it's something that sort of hit me that hard. It was like, oh wow. But having said that, to those who are Marvel fans, whether that be through the movies or the comics or both, would obviously be quite, sort of the news of the death would sort of hit harder. And that's sort of what some of my mates said that are big Marvel fans. Ben, I know you're a big Marvel fan. Did the news hit you relatively hard, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've never read the comics, but I'm a huge fan of the movies and a huge fan, obviously, of Stan as a guy. He's a cool guy. Obviously, he shows up in all the movies, and yeah, I felt it. I definitely felt it. It was weird. Like, it was hard for a moment, at least when I first read it, anyway. Because I mean, we all knew it was coming. He's pretty old, but it's like one of those things where you don't prepare for it because, like, I guess you just assume he's invincible or whatever. He's one of those guys who's just like, he'll always be he'd always be like that iconic guy. And luckily he will have filmed his cameos for at least the next two movies, probably the next three movies. Actually, he's also got two animated cameos coming up in the new Spider-Man animated movie, and also the Wreck-It Ralph 2. He's in that one as well, apparently. So he's got, I'd say at least 5 more appearances in movies for us to shed a tear at during those moments, which will be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was quite big on the internet. I mean, literally the top 3 posts on Reddit this week are about Stan Lee's death.
Right.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, yeah, everyone, like I said, everyone saw it coming. We just were waiting for that day, and then once it hit, I guess, I don't know. It's like if the Queen died. Like everyone knows it's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
Then, like, taking the time to process it once it actually happens. Like, we're kind of like dreading that moment happening. But I mean, in some ways, it's a positive thing. I mean, he suffered some, I think, health issues, and also not family issues, but certain issues from like corporate issues and that kind of thing. People trying to abuse him, and that kind of thing. In the past couple of years, that's been happening. So I'm sure he was happy to be gone, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily complete sadness. He lived a great life, really fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, inspired many people.
Sort of to jump on what you were saying, Ben. He was 95, and like 95 years. That's a pretty decent life. Like that's like 15 years, like over sort of the like life expectancy these days of like 80 something. He obviously lived a very good life.
I'm trying to imagine like what my view on him or what the world would be like if he had died at 85 10 years ago, because 10 years ago was just after the Marvel Cinematic Universe had just started with its first 2 movies. Like, Marvel wasn't nearly as popular a name, at least not in the movies as much. So yeah, in terms of pop culture, he definitely wouldn't have been nearly as well known. I mean, I didn't know he was until I recognized him popping up in the movies a couple of times. I was like, this guy's, is this Stan Lee? Yeah. Like, imagine him not being part of this culture for the last 10 years. I mean, I think like it would have been quite different. Yeah, it's just his character is like he is Marvel, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
moving forward in the next few years without him, it's going to be a different world. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
Well, moving on from that sad news. So, Churchill's grandson, I assume that means Winston Churchill, his
yeah.
grandson slams Trump for skipping cemetery visit because of the weather. Quote, they died with their face to the foe, and that pathetic, inadequate, at real Donald Trump couldn't even defy the weather to pay his respects to the fallen. Honestly,
Wow.
what, like, I haven't heard much about this. I heard some comments, people talking about Trump not turning up when it was raining or something. Did you hear about this, Matt?
No, I didn't. But like when we say like bad weather, are we talking a bit of rain, or are we saying like complete snow blizzard storm? I assume it's rain,
Um,
is my
no,
assumption.
yeah, someone's saying it wasn't like a huge storm. It was a bit windy, slightly chill, with a few drops of rain.
Right.
And ironically, Tash has just sent us a link to uh, an ironic photo, which is where Trump is playing golf in the rain. So I think it was. I'm not 100% sure who the funeral was for. I think it was for some troops, some soldiers who passed away. Yeah, he wouldn't turn up to that. That's quite ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Just another example of Trump's character, and sort of who he is as a person. Because of stuff like this is one of the major reasons that I just don't like him. Like in the first like year-ish of his presidency, and especially during the primary process and up to the election in 2016, I sort of followed it like Trump very closely. Obviously, because that was sort of the like major thing to do. But like within like a year of his presidency, I just sort of stopped caring because it was just like every other week it was like, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that.
It's funny. Just a few posts down, there's a photo of President Obama. I assume at a funeral speaking, and he's got an umbrella because it's drenching with rain. So yeah, it's just what a dumb thing to have to happen. Like, wow, I don't even understand. I don't even understand how he's president. I mean, like, imagine if the election was actually held today. Like, no way he would be voted in. I feel like leading up in his campaign, he deceived so many people into thinking he was going to be this great leader or whatever. But
Yeah,
now that he's in power and he doesn't really need the votes anymore, so he can
yeah,
do whatever he wants, piss everyone off.
yeah. It'll be very interesting to see if in 2020 if he does get reelected to a second term.
Right.
I hope not. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that election goes. Yeah, from like a political standpoint, and as yeah, I don't know, and as someone who finds politics really interesting, I'm sure I will follow it very closely.
All right. Well, let's just read one more somewhat bittersweet headline. This one is a GIF or a video of a man winning gold at the Olympics in weightlifting. You kind of have to look at it because the look on his face is just incredible. But the headline is his wife died in a car crash and he promised her he'd win gold. And you just see the moment when he knows he's won. I assume it's just like you reach a certain weight, and like if that's the most, I don't know. I guess he knows he's won anyway. And so the moment where he stands up lifting this weight and then putting it down, he just screams in like happiness and like, oh, it's a beautiful moment. It's a really beautiful moment.
There's always those stories there of like athletes, and like hearing bad news before like a game or something like that. Because I know there's a story of a rugby player some Kiwi listeners may recognize, and that's Zach Guilford. Presuming you follow rugby, but what happened to him was he was playing in I think it was the under 20 World Cup final, and during the game, his father passed away. Like during the game, and he found like so he I'm pretty sure they won, and he found out after the game that his dad passed away. Yeah, which is just like such a sad story.
Well, speaking of winning gold, Well, if you think about the medals, right? There's three tiers of medals. There's gold, silver, and bronze. Well,
Yeah.
only naming a top three winners. I mean, that's kind of lame. What we like to do here at Red Love Riot, we like to name a top five. Um, so what we're gonna do right now is talk about our top five.
Yeah, top five. Top five beverages is our top five this week. This segment is inspired by, well, kind of inspired by a film called High Fidelity, where they make their own top five lists throughout the film.
I feel like every week this segment becomes less and less inspired by High Fidelity.
Yeah, yeah, it does, it does. But that's okay. So top five beverages. I will go first. So here's the thing, right? I tried to rank mine in terms of the amount a combination of two factors, all right? One factor is how often I drink said beverage. Second one is how much I like said beverage. So my number five pick, all right, is water, all right? It's boring, I know, but here's the thing, right? Water is kind of important, all right, because hydration, all right? Drink lots of water, people.
Little bit.
And also, here's the thing about water as well, right? Water, not overrated, underrated beverage, all right? Water's great, all right? Here's what I challenge you to do. I challenge you to go for a run, come back, and then pour yourself a glass of water, all right? The feeling of drinking some water after, like, a tough day or, like, some exercise, quality feeling. Yeah, so that's my number five pick.
I'd say
Water.
I'd say it would be better, wouldn't it? Than like if you came home and had a glass of, I don't know, soda or milk or something else. Like, yeah, I feel like water's like the only one that quenches that particular moment of thirst.
Yeah.
My number five then is a lime shake from McDonald's, specifically from McDonald's. I mean, most lime shakes are probably okay, but I mean, the McDonald's ones are the ones that I thoroughly enjoy. Yeah, I don't know why lime shakes are my favorite. I just like them. They're good, nice and thick. It's one thing. It's something I would usually get. Nice cheap drink to get before I go see a movie. Shout out to lime shakes from McDonald's. They're good.
Shout
Nothing
out
more to say.
lime shakes. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, my number four pick, on a similar vein to my water pick, is Powerade.
Oh,
right,
no.
Powerade, fantastic.
Ah.
But when you're doing exercise, playing sport, all right, takes me back to moments where I've been playing sport. Sometimes when I've not been playing sport. But yeah, Powerade, fantastic drink, quick hydration, gotta love it.
Lovely. And well, my number four is somewhat similar to my number five, but it's kind of the more premium option, and that's an Oreo thick shake from what used to be called Bubble Cup. Right now, I think it's called Gels. I still just call it Bubble Cup. It's this place that does bubble tea and thick shakes and smoothies and that kind of thing. It's in Rickenham Mall in Christchurch. I don't know if they have other ones around the place, but I'm sure there are similar places that do like bubble tea. And anyway, it's this Oreo thick shake, and it's really good. And they seal all their cups, so like you can like shake them around or put them upside down or whatever until you spike it with your straw, of course. Yeah, no, it's a great place. It's a nice, decent sized serving as well. That's kind of like my premium option when I go into the movies and I want something just slightly more premium than that lime shake from McDonald's. Yeah.
Going from a premium Oreo milkshake to minus the shake, milk. My number three pick is milk. Gotta love some milk. Alright. Milk tastes amazing. Alright. It does.
Sorry.
It's good.
That was just hilarious. Just took this premium Oreo thick shake minus the shake and minus the Oreo, I guess, right?
Yeah.
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 And it's like you're building it up to be this awesome premium thing. It's just milk.
That's comedy, mate. That's comedy. You subvert the expectations. It's brilliant. Right. Yeah. I like milk.
Absolutely.
I don't know what else to say other than I like milk. It's good.
That's weird. I don't like. I like milk. Obviously, I like thick milkshakes. I have them all the time. I like having milk in my cereal, obviously. But like, I'm not a huge fan of just drinking milk on its own, unless it's like chocolate milk, right? But like just normal milk. I don't know. Like occasionally, very very occasionally, I would do it. Like no more than once every 6 months do I just drink a glass of milk. It's kind of bland. It's kind of like I don't know. I used to sometimes get sick if I had too much milk. So maybe it's kind of that. I just don't like to have too much milk at once. Moving on from the most bland answer possible to
Nah,
another
water.
premium
Water's the
high.
most bland answer.
Moving on to a premium high quality drink. Number three is something you often find in an Indian restaurant. It's a mango lassi. Honestly, every time I go to Indian, if I'm not an idiot and I forget, because often I do, I always forget that they have them on the menus because it's like not in the normal alcohol section, which is where you go to first, is obviously. Yeah, mango lassi is my fave thing to get with an Indian meal. I mean, if you've had one, you know how good it is. If you haven't, you don't know what you're missing out on.
What am
Yeah,
I missing out
do it.
on? A
Well, I mean, you don't know, do you? You gotta go
mango
get one.
lassi.
Okay, exactly. You see, you think it just sounds like oh mango, oh lame. Honestly, you gotta bloody try one. Go to India and get yourself. It just fits so well with like a spicy Indian dish. It's like the perfect drink to have with it. I don't even know what it's made of other than mango and lassi. I don't know what I don't know. Oh, I don't know how they make it. It's kind of like a smoothie milkshake. Not even like that. I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just the
You
delicious,
don't need.
smooth
You don't need to
mango
know. It's brilliant.
amazingness. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, I assume they don't make it from milk, right? Because Indians don't drink milk, or maybe I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's more of a Western thing. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, go to an Indian place, buy yourself some chicken korma or some butter chicken or some whatever, and oh, don't forget the garlic naan, and it goes perfectly right next to a mango lassi. Because you know how sometimes you get spicy and like milk or milk products or mango lassi is another one that it kind of helps tame that spice. If you have a bit of it in between each mouthful, it's good thing.
Continuing on my vein of more quote unquote boring drinks, my number two pick is juice. Alright, so the major juice types that I drink is either orange juice, apple juice, or like tropical juice, which is usually like orange juice, apple juice, and then mango in there as well. Yeah, I like me a glass of juice. It's nice. It's always good when you're feeling a bit under the weather. Get that vitamin C count up a little bit. That's usually the major time I drink it. I also drink juice when I go to my grandparents' place for dinner. Good old roast dinner. Gotta love that tradition of a Sunday roast. So juice is my number two pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a fan of juice, but like, I wouldn't say it's a boring pick. Actually, I don't think it's a plain pick. I think it's just vague that you just say juice as opposed to maybe picking your favorite flavor. No, it's not nearly as bland as milk. Milk is literally the most bland
No, 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 no,
thing you
no,
could have
no.
said. I mean,
Water.
like I
Water
think
is the plan.
like no water's less bland because you've got a good reason behind drinking it, right? Milk's just like milk. I can't.
But
I
I
feel like it's
like
more bland than
milk.
water because water's like the perfect quench thirster, right? Like you said. But like milk, when are you ever in the mood for milk? Maybe it's just me. I'm never
I
just in
am.
the mood for milk.
I'm
Sometimes I am
always
in the
in the
mood for a
mood.
milkshake, nice chocolate
Yeah.
milkshake, but just milk. Like I said, once every 6 months maybe.
Anyone in the comments, let us know. What's a blander
Yeah, yeah.
drink? Milk or water? What side of the debate are you on? Alright. Over to
All
you,
right,
Ben.
all right. Yes, please do. All right. Number two for me is cider. It's basically the only alcoholic drink that I drink. Because I'm still in that sweet stage, I guess, where I like me some sweet drink. And obviously, apple cider's all right. One of my favorites, particularly, is Max Cloudy Apple. That's probably the best apple cider. But I also love me a berry cider, um, or like a pineapple crush cider or something like that. Yeah, the less aptly they are, usually the better, unless it's Max Apple, Cloudy Apple, of course. Yeah, those are my favorite ciders.
So now it's to our honourable mentions. My honourable mentions are as follows. A milkshake. Most of the time a chocolate milkshake. The reason why this is on the honourable mentions is because I consider it a milkshake. Like I have a milkshake very rarely. Like usually only when like going out. And only at like certain restaurants. You know what I mean? Like the amount of places that actually like sell milkshakes is
Mm.
like not that high if you actually think about it. So yeah, milkshakes, one of my honorable mentions. All right. I'm glad that you mentioned, Ben, I'm glad you mentioned cider because I didn't know if we were allowed to mention alcohol. So here we go. All right.
What? Why would
Um,
why
I
wouldn't we
don't
be
know.
allowed to mention alcohol?
Well, I thought that maybe
That
we'll
doesn't make
do
any sense.
I thought maybe we'll do another list and it would just be alcohol. So I wanted
Oh,
to
I
save it
see.
for
Well, I
that.
mean, any alcohol is still a beverage, right?
Yeah.
And I've already said cider's the only alcohol I drink, so I don't know if I can even get a top five on that.
All right. So my honorable mentions are as follows. Rum is one of my honorable mentions. I love me some rum. Usually works better when you mix rum with some Coke as well. It's a brilliant drink. Tastes nice. Goes down well. It's nice and hearty. For a less hearty option and more for a taste option, vodka cruisers. They taste amazing, especially if you're someone who doesn't really like the taste of alcohol. Unfortunately, can get you into trouble sometimes. Um, because of the fact that it doesn't taste like alcohol, so therefore you think you can drink more, but you can't. People, drink responsibly. All right. And my other final option is whiskey. The brand in particular is Wild Moose that I like to drink. Sort of similar vein of rum, obviously. Tastes different to rum, but yeah, just really good for sort of that more hearty option. And I also drink it when I don't feel like I want to drink rum. Yeah, so those are sort of the three major alcohol beverages that I drink. And that rounds out, I rather should say, my honorable mentions.
Yeah, well, my honorable mentions, of course, hot chocolate. I'm a big fan.
Oh, how did I forget hot
Basically,
chocolate?
too
Oh,
late. Too late. Doesn't count. Yeah, I don't drink coffee, so hot chocolate's my go-to if I'm at a cafe. Either that or a berry smoothie, which I'm on the fence sometimes because sometimes it's really good. Like for example, Eddington Coffee Co-op in Christchurch does a really good berry smoothie, but a lot of places they're really bland, or they're just like out of some like plastic bottle or something, you know. So a good berry smoothie is obviously, it's got to be good. Otherwise, what's the point? Anyway, next, a raspberry soda. It's like one of my favorite sodas. I don't know why. I just like me some raspberry. And yeah, also I put water on my honorable mentions and orange juice as well. I do like orange juice. Um, yeah, there you go.
now to the moment we've all been waiting for. My number one top pick, and that's chocolate milk. All right,
Oh yeah.
let me just explain. Okay, chocolate milk is the greatest beverage of all time. It is amazing. I could drink chocolate milk all day, and I pretty much do almost. Hence why it's my number one pick. Obviously, right? So you gave me a lot of grief for chucking milk on my list, Ben. But I will say this: if you give me the option between chocolate milk and milk, right? I'll drink chocolate milk, and I only very much drink milk when there's no chocolate milk left. That's when I drink
Right. I
milk.
see.
Hence why it's lower in the list. But yeah, chocolate milk is just amazing. Obviously, you got your brands like Primo. Primo's amazing. You also got Wave. Wave's more of a richer taste. Chocolate milk is it's just, it's just heaven in a bottle, because it's just so good. And I wish I had better
Hmm.
words to describe my love for this beverage, but I don't.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
chocolate
like,
milk.
what are you? What are you a fan of the Hershey's? Is it Hershey's Road or something? What's it called? Lewis Road.
Oh,
Or
Lewis
like
Road.
the real creamy ones, or Whitaker's chocolate, whatever.
I found it to be okay. I thought that its hype was very much overrated. That was my stance
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. For me, it's like I'm also a huge fan of chocolate milk. Actually, that probably should be on my honorable mentions as well. But I'm a big fan basically of the Meadow Fresh ones. Those are the classics. Those are the ones I like. I have to say, the calcium ones are absolute trash. Don't get a calcium chocolate milk. I don't think I've had Primo, so I can't say anything on that. But the Lewis Road or the Whitaker's, whatever it is, the real chocolate one, I did like it. I definitely liked it. But I
Hmm.
think I prefer just a standard Meadow Fresh chocolate milk because that to me tastes like chocolate milk, whereas the Lewis Road one literally tastes like chocolate. Like I'm drinking liquid chocolate, which I mean is great, but it's not what I'm looking for in chocolate milk. Ironically, um, Chocolate milk to me has a different, distinct flavor. You know, that's what I think about it. And yeah, it was
Right.
definitely hyped up a lot because it's very unique. It's very good. It's very good, but it's like it's
Mm.
not chocolate milk to me. It's just another. It's like a whole nother drink, a whole different drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if that's all you have to say on chocolate milk,
Yeah. Yeah.
my number one pick is the classic, Coca Cola. Specifically
Ah.
Coca Cola, the branded Coca Cola, not Pepsi, not Budget Cola or whatever. I mean, those are fine as well, but like Coca Cola is the number one, absolutely. And I got a shout out to raspberry and cherry cola as well. Those are some good times. I kind of like vanilla occasionally, but it's kind of like sometimes I'd rather just have normal Coca Cola most of the time. It's one of those drinks for me that I've just had growing up. I've always had that. It's always been like the special drink, that you get when you're a kid. We had it on our Friday nights when we used to watch movies every Friday night as a kid, and we have fish and chips and chocolate, not chocolate milk. What am I saying? Fish and chips and Coca Cola, or pizza or something. It's that perfect quench. It's a real good quench thirster, I think. I mean, probably not quite as good as water, I guess, but like sometimes I have a specific quench for Coca Cola. Like I need that sugary deliciousness, and Coke's like that perfect one. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just been a favorite of mine. It's, for many years, forever basically. It's always been my number one. Yeah, number one favorite drink, and I think that rounds off our list of top five favorite drinks. But actually, I just had to mention one dishonorable mention. One
Okay.
drink that one drink that I actually quite dislike, and that's ginger beer. And I don't know why, but I mean, ginger beer seems like quite a popular thing amongst at least teenagers who can't drink alcohol. They have ginger beer, right? I don't know. It's got this really weird. It's not necessarily the flavor, but like this weird, I don't know, texture to it or whatever. Like when I drink it, it just makes my throat go all like really really weird. Like I can't explain it. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever like eat pineapple and your throat gets a little bit of like something, like it feels strange. That's what happens to me with ginger beer, and I think I've had the drink twice. And I remember the first time I ever had the drink, I was at like a friend's birthday party, and we were just like cracking jokes the whole time, and I just was laughing like heaps and heaps and heaps. And the combination of all that laughter and like this drink that like does something weird to my throat, that kind of like ruined my voice completely, and my voice was just like gone, but it sounded so weird. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It just makes you think of how weird if you think about the human voice and how weird it is, because you know how like, I don't know, like it's just like a thing that you don't expect. Like I don't know, the way it changes. Like for example, when you're tired or when you're sick, it just changes so much. And there's also, I don't know if it was a shower thought or someone on Reddit, I think, posted a comment about how deaf people. I think, oh, that's right. It was an Ask Reddit about people who were deaf and then got their hearing back. Like, what was some sounds that surprised them or something? And one of them was that the fact that people have different sounding voices. Like, people just didn't expect that was even a thing. Like, you live your whole life if you're deaf, you just can't assume that. You wouldn't even know. And the fact that people have distinct voices and you can recognize people by voice, I thought that was real weird thing to think about, and how it changes as well.
I think one of the things that I notice that's weird is, I don't know about you, Ben, but so sometimes we listen back to our podcast because we want to sort of like review it, and sort of
Quality
self
check.
criticize,
Yeah.
quality check. That's the word, to see how we can get better and stuff like that. And I find it very very difficult to get through. I find listening to you fine, but the second I start talking, I just hate it
Uh,
so much.
really?
Yeah, I just hate the sound of my own voice.
You mean like just recordings?
Yeah,
Because I guess like, yeah, recordings always sounds different. I don't know. I
yeah.
used to have that. I used to have like, I would record my voice or something and it would sound weird. But I don't know. I haven't had that with the podcast. I really enjoy listening back to the podcast. Maybe because I just enjoy the content. So
Yeah.
I enjoy hearing it, and I don't think my voice sounds weird for some reason.
Interesting.
But actually, you know what? I
Mm.
was going through footage from my Term 4 project, and I did hear myself speaking occasionally, and it sounded really weird. So I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but to me, the podcast sounds fine. It sounds normal to me. But when I heard myself in some of those pieces of footage, I did hear myself sound weird, and it's just the microphone that's used. Like one of them sounds more natural, one of them, I don't know. What I do know is that the reason I think your voice sounds different is because your eardrum is getting the vibrations directly through your jawbone, right? As
Yeah,
opposed to just hearing the sound waves coming out through the ear, which is what would go into a microphone.
yeah,
Um, maybe the thing is like if you're really close to the microphone, there's like a better vibration like going through. Maybe that's why the podcast doesn't sound weird to me. But if it's far away microphone, it does sound weird. Maybe that's why, because it's like less vibration based and more just echo, or whatever
yeah.
you call it, sound waves based.
Potentially, yeah. I remember I have heard about the whole eardrum thing versus like vibration in the jaw thing as well. Yeah, I mean I have a little thing here that sort of talks about it in a little bit more detail. So when we hear other people speak, our eardrums and our inner ears vibrate from the sound waves coming in from outside, vibrations that the brain converts into sound. The same is true when we hear ourselves speaking, but added to these external sound waves are other internal vibrations from deep within our bodies, vibrations from our vocal cords and airways that get added to the mix. So to put it into more technical terms, you're adding bone conduction to air conduction when you speak with your own voice. Bone conducted sound is when you activate your vocal cords and vibrations are set off through your skull, eventually reaching your inner ear. The acoustics in your skull lower the frequency of these vibrations along the way, essentially adding some bass tones. So basically, when we're sort of talking and we're listening to ourselves talking, so not recorded, most people apparently they consider their voice to be lower and like richer. So when we hear it recorded, it sounds more like tinny and alien, and that's one of the major
Yeah,
reasons
yeah,
why this sort of the more science behind not liking the sound of your own voice. And when I read that, I found it to be really, really interesting. And I think though the majority of people you talk to, right, don't like the sound of their own voice. So it's kind of
mm,
interesting that that's sort of a universal thing, you know?
yeah. I reckon like I don't know if anyone's tried to make these, but like if you had like a microphone that was like directly attached to your jawbone or to your skull, it might be able to record it better because you could record those bonal vibrations like what you're talking about instead of
Yeah,
just going through the air. And maybe that would be a good way to capture a more natural sounding voice, or at least the way you hear it.
that's a good point. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like a singer going on stage and they have this giant contraption like on their face to record their voice naturally, and they're like performing live. That'd be quite funny.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's interesting just how just how universal of a hatred it is. Like, I reckon if we went out to the streets, right, and we asked 100 people, do you like the sound of your own voice like played back to you? What the percentage of people would say that they don't like the sound of
Mm.
their own voice?
Like
Because
almost everyone would surely say
I would expect it to be like
they don't.
in the 90s, 99 probably.
Easily.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was 100%, honestly.
yeah.
Moving on then from that, the next segment of the show is
What you doing?
which is of course where we talk about what we've been doing slash reading slash watching in the last week and what we would like to read and do and watch in the following week. And I did mention last week that I wanted to watch season 3 of Broadchurch, and I did that. It's almost great how we have the segment in the show because it makes me kind of more accountable to myself. It kind of because I used to just put these things off, just like oh, I can't be bothered. I'll just watch another comedy that I've seen already before. Like I'd been going through the IT crowd and I finished that again. Um, you know, sometimes I just rather watch something that I know I can just sit and relax to rather than watching like a tense drama like Broadchurch. And yeah, season 3 of Broadchurch was really, really good. And I can't remember if I mentioned it in my honorable mentions in episode 2 or not. But it's fantastic, and this third season's definitely brought up the whole show again for me. Like it's right up there. Like if it's not my number 6, it's probably be my number 6. It's probably officially my number 6. It's definitely better than Rick and Morty. So yeah, fantastic show. Just go watch it. Go do it. It's like I did mention, I think last week or the week before, something about BBC shows, and how BBC shows always have such a high production value, and they always look and feel really good. Actually, I don't know if I noticed it. I don't know if it was in the first 2 seasons, but the third season, actually, there was something that bothered me about it. Is they did this thing where they tried to give the whole thing of the shallow depth of field, and they literally just in there added a slight blur on the top and bottom of the frame, but it's literally in every shot, and it looks exactly the same. And it kind of looks good on the close-ups, where it feels kind of natural, but then in the wide shots, it just looks so much more obvious, and or even the mid shots, or medium close-ups, it just looks so obvious that it's there and it's done in post, and it's not like a natural camera thing. It actually really bothered me. But that's just one tiny minor thing about the show. The rest of it's just fantastic. Yeah, I want to see more premium content from BBC. I mean, I haven't really looked up what else they do. I mean, they've done Luther, they've done Sherlock. That's all I really know. I want to see more of that kind of style of TV making. I want to see that from other companies as well, like Netflix and networks in the US. I think we really need to pump that up. I feel like we're missing so much potential. That's all I've been watching this week anyway. That's all I really had time to. And I haven't really had time to think about what I want to watch next week. So I'll figure that out. I know I said Dragon Prince. I do want to watch that. But again, if I find something else that I'd rather watch, I will do that. So no promises.
Nice. All right. What have I? Yeah. So unfortunately, this week I've been quite lazy in terms of my watching habits. And it's mainly due to the fact that I've been busy doing uni work. I've been on a shoot for the entire week. But I did manage to watch. I think it was early in the week actually. I managed to watch the some of the Extra Life stream that Rooster Teeth does, which is a 24-hour stream. So obviously I didn't watch the full 24 hours. But I've watched bits and bobs of it. And it's amazing because what they do is they raise money for charity, and it's just this big giant stream of absolute madness, where I get to see some of my favorite staff members of Rooster Teeth. Yeah, so it was basically just watching a bunch of people slowly lose their minds as they did more and more crazy stuff. People were getting tased, people were being put through all sorts of torturous stuff, which was really entertaining to watch. So yeah, I just really enjoyed watching that. The other thing that I recently did was I actually found a song that I really like, which name I've forgot. Be Alright. The song is called Be Alright, and it's by Dean Lewis, who's a Australian singer-songwriter. Yeah, it's just a nice chill song, and it's got some real good lyrics. The lyrics are probably its standout thing. It's just a simple sort of song with just mainly acoustic guitar, but it's definitely the chorus that really gets me. And my friend said, "I know you love her, but it's over, mate. It doesn't matter, put the phone away. It's never easy to walk away. Let her go, it'll be alright." Yeah, so obviously a real universal message there, and a really, really nice song as well that I really like.
I think I know what song you're talking about, and I absolutely hate it. No offense, sorry.
Oh,
Just
really?
another one of those cringy songs that I hear on the radio, and I am so opposed to the radio. I hate it so much. Not to crush your happiness there, Matt, but
Well. I think that's the interesting thing, though, about art, and, whether it be music or movies or TV shows, is people, can have, completely differing opinions and different tastes. I mean, a good example of how we differ, is the fact that you really like Marvel films. I don't really care for them. Yeah, I know.
we haven't really even discussed that. I mean, have you ever watched? What have you watched? Tell me what you watched.
I've seen all the Avengers films. I've seen Spider-Man: Homecoming. I've seen Civil War. I've seen both Deadpools. I feel like I've seen more than that.
But yeah, did you not even like Spider-Man: Homecoming?
I mean, it was good.
I thought you would like it because it's quite John Hughes inspired.
Yeah.
But also worth mentioning, Deadpool. The Deadpool movies aren't Marvel films, or they're not made by Marvel anyway, so I wouldn't count them.
Okay.
There's similar style though, I guess.
Well,
That's why I wanted you to list them out because I wanted to see if you were gonna name like X-Men and Fantastic Four and the old Spider-Mans because none of those are Marvel movies. I
yeah.
just want to know. I always got to clear that up when people say they don't like Marvel. I want to know if they've actually watched the proper ones. But if you haven't even seen Iron Man, well,
I think I have. I feel like I have.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I think you're kind of hurting yourself if you're watching the Avengers and you haven't seen the solo movies, right? Because you've got no investment in those characters. So
Right.
like, how do you expect to enjoy that? How do you expect to enjoy that movie if you haven't gone and watched the previous ones? You can't just watch Die Hard 2 without seeing Die Hard 1. Or maybe you can. I haven't seen Die Hard 2. What's a better example? Shrek 2, right? You're not going to watch Shrek 2 if you didn't watch Shrek 1. What's the bloody point? All right, you got no investment in those characters or why they're doing anything. You know, I hear people saying, "Oh, I don't like it. I've seen the Avengers. It was kind of average." Yeah, I mean, I'd almost agree with you. It wasn't the most fantastic of movies. But if you're invested in those characters, it's much more enjoyable because you actually kind of feel what they're feeling. And that's most especially relevant to the latest Avengers movie, Infinity War. If you haven't seen the previous one, you got no idea what's going on. You don't care because they're not gonna just treat it like a baby and introduce all these characters again. No, it's completely pointless. They're gonna like.
Yeah, I don't know.
That movie is made
I think
for people who've watched them all. You know what I mean? Like people, I know I hear people judging like the movies on their own. But it's such a huge movie series that you kind of have to have watched most of the previous ones to have any kind of interest or investment in those characters. And that's why I love that movie, specifically Infinity War, because that payoff that you get from those characters, those long journeys, especially Tony Stark, for me, like I felt like his character and his moment in that film was just so well developed, like throughout the whole series, and you see it going all the way through into that final movie as well. Well, not quite final movie, but yeah. Sorry, I just had to rant on that one.
All right, I have a counterpoint, and that's
all right. Bring it.
And that's, I think personally from my end, it's a thing of like, so basically you're saying, yeah, you have to watch, all these things, but on my end, it's basically you have to watch all these films. What, each film is an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? And so
yeah.
So each film's an hour and a half to 2 hours. Let's say 2 hours, because make math a bit easier. And then it's however many films, right? You'd have to watch there, which is like heaps of films,
there are
right?
currently. It's just there's been 20 so far.
Yeah. All right. So that's what
20 films in 10 years.
What's
it's a lot of times, like 40. That's 40. But it's definitely more than 40 hours.
Yeah.
No,
so
I know
that's
what you're
like
saying,
40
right?
hours that you have to commit. And I think the thing is for like non-Marvel fans, and especially for me, that's just a commitment I'm not willing to make. Like 40 hours.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that.
I could watch like a bunch of other like individual standalone films or like a bunch of TV series, which I would probably be more inclined to do. It's just personally,
I think
personally, it's just a genre, right? It's the superhero genre is just a genre that I don't really have like an interest in, or like a pull towards. So therefore, I'm gonna go and watch other things.
Well, I think to be honest, the ones that you listed that you have watched are more of those superhero-y ones, but a lot of the Marvel ones aren't like that. They're more character-driven, like human stories. You know what I mean? Some of them are quite superhero-ish, but some of them aren't. And to your point about you got to invest 40 hours, well, you don't, because obviously it's not like 40 hours or nothing, right? I would ask you to watch a couple movies. I'd ask you to watch the first Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and you already seen Spider-Man: Homecoming. I would have told you to watch that as well. Like just watch a couple of them. If you don't enjoy them, then you don't have to watch the rest. All right, that makes sense. But do not go and watch Avengers 2 as the first Marvel movie you're going to watch. That's a bloody stupid idea, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? Watch a movie that you can watch on a lot of them. You can watch them on their own. You can watch Black Panther without seeing anything else. You can watch Guardians of the Galaxy. You can watch Thor as your first one. You can watch Thor Ragnarok, even the third Thor movie. You could watch that as your first Marvel movie, and I'd let you do that. And if you enjoy it, then you watch other ones, you know. But like You know what I mean? Like, it's like you watch, you got to get a taste of it, but you can't just say, oh, there's too many, I'm not going to bother. You got to at least get a taste, just get a taste of it. And if you like the taste, then you watch more. That's how it works. That's how it happened to me. I mean, I didn't follow them from the beginning. I didn't watch any Marvel movies till 2011 at least. I think no, 2012 actually, right? And there were already like 5 other movies out there before that, So I watched the first Thor, right? I didn't even know what Marvel really was at that point, and I got hooked. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Wait, there's more of these. Oh, Captain America. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Iron Man. Oh, that's fantastic. And then I heard that there was an Avengers movie coming. I was like, oh my goodness, gotta watch these. And that's you start with a taste. You start with a taste, but you got to pick the right one. You don't watch. A lot of people watch Avengers as their first one, and like why? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of options. You don't like it because Iron Man's the first movie. That's not the one you have to watch first. There are other ones that work as your first movie. Will work as your first movie. All right, Thor was my first one. It wasn't even Iron Man. So sorry. I know I'm ranting. And you know what else doesn't help? You know what doesn't help this market of superhero films that gets hated on so much? It's crappy ones. Most of the DC movies are really bad. Sony made some really bad Spider-Man movies a couple years ago. Fantastic Four were pretty bad. Some of the X-Men I think are really bad. Look, there's a lot of bad ones. And that's why that when they get headlines and when they get opinions out there, a lot of people just assume that's all of them, or they think, oh, they're not really that good. No, I'm not saying they are. They're not the best movies. They're definitely not the best movies. All right, but they're really enjoyable, and the ones made by Marvel are really well made and really well interconnected and all that. And it really doesn't help when there are bad competitors as well. They really they try and oversaturate the market, I guess. And now people don't know what to trust. Do I trust the next Marvel movie? Because the last Justice League was really bad. Why would I go see the next? A lot of people get confused. They don't really know the difference, and they don't really understand it all. So that's why a lot of the time it gets a bad rap, and people just don't bother, right? It's because overall, the genre's got a bit of an average review. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so people just look at one franchise and they say, well, they must be all like that, right? No, they're not. So, if you've never seen any of the movies, or at least if you've never seen the ones made by Marvel, go watch Iron Man or Guardians of the Galaxy. Those would be my top 2, or Black Panther maybe. Yeah, those are some good ones to start off with. Or even go back watch the old Raimi Spider-Man movies. Those are good ones. They're very superhero-ish. Sorry, that was so ranty.
That was the biggest rant.
I've never ranted that hard on this podcast.
We've had our first... I think that's the first time on the podcast, though, that we've sort of butted heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, most of the time, we're quite like, yeah, no, I agree, blah, 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 blah. But this time, we were just like, nah, you're wrong, basically.
Yeah, I love to educate people. On the way to experience their lives better.
After that rant though, I'm still probably not gonna watch them, to be honest.
You're not listening, Matt. You're not listening.
Sorry, mate.
All right. I wasn't expecting to have that conversation. That's what I love. That's what I love, is when we just go off on random tangents like this.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Well, if you have an opinion on this whole Marvel superhero situation, you should leave a comment. Tell us. Let us know. If you're in the live chat, let us know. Otherwise, on YouTube or Facebook, comment, and we'll read them out in the next podcast. And so right now, we're going to read a bunch of comments from the last week. Of course, this week we don't have any, I don't think. So... but yeah, there are, as far as I'm aware, no comments this week. Sad face. Much sad face.
People, please comment. This segment doesn't work without people commenting, so please comment, whether that be on YouTube or YouTube on the once this comes out, or on the live chat on Twitch or on Facebook. Drop us a comment, and we can read it out on the next podcast. and therefore this segment therefore then works. So yeah, either share us around on social media or support us on Patreon. We would appreciate any kind of support. That's it for another week. I've been Matt.
I've been. See you later.
Thank you. Goodbye.